Today's lecture is about ethics and morals. And we start with this interesting cartoon of even while this class has a classroom on ethics and morals, they're copying off one another's paper. How important are ethics and morals in our society, in our school? The values and beliefs that an individual, organization, or society deems appropriate. Ethics and morals. The principles that guide the decision-making of individuals, organization, or a society. Ethics and morals. We can see what happens when ethics fall flat. Here's a scenario. I just want to know what you would do to think about this. Imagine that you work for our government as a lead investigator on global terrorism. You and your partners have in custody a terrorist that you have been trying to find for more than 5 years. During the interview of the terrorist, he states that another terrorist attack will happen within 24 hours, similar to 9/11. You have no reason to doubt him. However, he will give you no more information than it will happen within 24 hours. He sits there in front of you and refuses to say anything else. Thousands of American lives may be in jeopardy. It is against American law to torture suspects, including those involved in terrorism. You have never used torture in your career and have always been law-abiding, particularly in your current position. Would you, this one time, use torture as a means to find out when and where the terrorist act will occur? This question is still being debated in our country today. So the solution hasn't been completely formulated yet. Machiavelli, I'm sure we've all heard of him, but at the beginning of an action, I might not be able to determine whether that action is morally right or wrong. But when the morally right goal is successfully achieved, then the steps which led to it must be morally right too. Do you agree with that statement? That statement is called the end justifies the means. Does the end justify the means? In some cases, maybe. In others, maybe not. Ethical leadership. The ability of a leader to infuse and model appropriate values, beliefs, and principles as a foundation for influencing the group to reach its goals. So this is, as each of us is hoping for greater role of leadership, are we sure of our values and beliefs? Do we put them out front? Are others able to see them? And will others coalesce around them? Factors related to ethical leadership. Ciulla and Northouse, they talk about the actions of a leader, the values of the leader, the character of the leader, the goals of the leader, use of power by the leader. So all of these are examined when trying to understand whether an action was ethical or not. Northouse continues in 2009 to talk about those principles of ethical leadership, the principles of justice, of service, of respect, of community, of integrity. We could probably have a class on each one of those. But all of those together really combine to develop ethical leadership. And all of those aspects need to be consonant with one another, or things are just kind of off kilter. On a plot, we can see how self-interest or interest for others can be plotted high and low. And at one end is egoism. Is this decision to feed my ego, my needs? Or is this decision altruism? Is it about completely concern for the others? Now, it's a graph. It's probably many of our decisions might be somewhere in the middle. But we might want to look at those decisions. How much are they based in the needs of others versus taking care of my own individual needs? We've looked briefly at the standards for education leaders. Standard 2, ethical leadership in education. Effective educational leaders act ethically and according to professional norms to promote each student's academic success and well-being. And these are those ethics and professional norms. Look at number 3, place children at the center of education and accept responsibility for each student's academic success and well-being. Our institutions, student-focused. Is every decision we make student-focused? Do sometimes our needs get in the way of student focus? So take a look at these and just where do we feel ourselves, kind of like on that Likert scale of 1 to 4? Are all of our decisions completely based on the needs of the children? Or are there some other values that get in there? And there's a lot of examples that make us think, what will we do in certain cases? Sometimes in school turnaround, very draconian measures are taken. And so we can kind of get into ethical quandaries. No child left behind. Where has that left us with educational policies? If the school values our academic success for all, integrity, justice, equity, care for the whole person, and shared responsibility, are there programs? Are there regulations? Are there laws that we have to somehow facilitate ourselves around or grapple with to continue to be successful educators? And maybe we can discuss that at our next class.